Yo, I'm Bob, totally blind since birth into Star Wars, talking about Episode 6 of Andor on DisneyPlus. Spoilers ahead. Watch the episode before listening to my thoughts, or you're gonna get spoiled. And with that being said, getting into the episode, and you were warned. So, Episode 6 is entitled The Eye. I was gonna whisper it like Galadriel whispers it to Frodo in Peter Jackson's Fellowship of the Ring film adaptation, where she goes, The Eye. But I thought I'd spare you guys that. Well, actually, there it is. So, never mind. In this episode, we do get to see the raid on the Aldhani garrison. But before that, we get to see quite a few memorable scenes. I think my favorite character, for some reason, it is Commandant J-Hold Behaz. I think that's how you say his name. Behaz. I'm not sure. I know how to say his first name, but I don't think he got that last name pronounced. Beehaws with a tall A there sounds pretty good. Maybe beehive. Nah, I know that's not how you pronounce it. But this guy, he is quite a scuzzy Imperial, and I love the actor who portrays him, Stanley Townsend. Man, he does such a great job, and I kind of wish we weren't done with this character, just because I get really strong Star Wars Legends Warlord Zinj vibes from this guy. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I am. Now I kind of wish Zinj would eventually be made canon. But yeah, we get to learn that the Imperials are rooking the Aldhani people, and they are basically setting up these taverns and probably other venues along the way to the Eye, and so they're getting the Aldhanis to basically realize how tired they are. Come on in, buy yourself a drink that probably costs 3 times as much as it normally would. Just throw all your money at the Empire. Yeah, you don't really want to go on this pilgrimage, do you? Just kind of give us all your money and just stop right there. And he's so pleased with himself as he is basically describing how they're rooking these people. He's really trying to impress Colonel Pedigart. I think this is my 10th take because I keep wanting to call him Pedagogue. Jeez, Star Warsy names sometimes, folks, I tell you. And, I mean, we get to see Andor and Nemec talking before they start to the base. And I like how Nemec had been writing about Andor in his little manifesto. And some Star Wars fan or another made an interesting observation on Twitter. I wish I could remember who it was. And they were saying how maybe this is what gave the rebels the idea to hire people like Han in the future, because Nemec says something like, yeah, we need to be hiring more mercenaries because we could really show the Empire how insurgents fight if we used these weapons accordingly, or something to that effect. And yeah, some Star Wars fan thought of Han. I thought of Dash Rendar. I wish I thought of Han. I don't know why I'm in a Star Wars Legends mood when I watch these episodes. I guess because I grew up with it and I'm wondering, oh hey, who's going to be made canon next? But it was a really cool little scene there. And having seen the episode about, I'd say 7 times now, hearing Andor reassure Nemec there before they really get started. Because Nemec, he hadn't slept very well, or maybe he didn't sleep at all. Hearing Andor say, don't worry, you'll sleep when the mission's over, it definitely has a different meaning after you've seen the episode a time or two. And of course, I kind of wondered if that's what they were implying the first time I'd watched it, but I really wanted to hold out hope for this kid. He was a really cool character. So yeah, when things start happening, they really happen fast. But before that, we get to see the Commandant, and he's really trying to get this belt around his waist. And so he's kind of berating his son for, I guess, needing a bit of help getting dressed. This kid's, I guess, kind of sickly. And he's chastising the kid. And, he's like, why should he need help getting dressed? Come on, Roboto, come over here and help me get dressed. I gotta get this belt around my waist. Come on. Or something like that. And she's kind of put out with him. I like how she said something along the lines of, oh, it's not that the belt was compressed in storage. It's probably that your waist is expanded, or something to that effect. Of course, he doesn't want to hear that. There's a really neat little scene there. But yeah, we get to see our rebels, and they're maneuvering themselves into the positions to where they can be the bodyguards of the Behaz family. Behaz? Behaz needs to behave. He's very cruel to his kid. So anyway, yeah, things really start happening fast. The Pilgrims, they're trading goat hides with the Imperials, and everybody's kind of, for starters, having a pretty decent time. But then when everyone gets into the base, then that's when our rebel pals start taking hostages because they've got to get down to the vault. So they've got what's his name? They've got Behaz at gunpoint. They don't want anybody to die, but of course Colonel Pettigard he tries to be cute, and he bites it first. And this is when poor Behaz, I think he's starting to sweat a little bit. I like right when everyone's starting to yell at these guys, hands on heads and all that. And J-Hope doesn't sound afraid. He sounds like he is in disbelief as to what's going on here. He's like, "What's the meaning of this? What are you doing? What's going on here? Where's Gorn? What are you doing?" He's just like, "Oh, really? This is a crimp in my day. I wanted to tuck into a fine table. What's going on here? Oh, this is preposterous." He's just kind of bellowing and bullheaded and all that. But I mean, he does eventually do what he needs to do because he does care about his wife and his kid. And everybody makes it to the vault, and they're starting to load the money. And I think the comms are all disabled by this point. I think we see Cintas and not Cintas, sorry, Cinta and Val, and they've already done this. And of course, once they get into the vault, that kind of sends a little warning signal to the Alkinzi airbase. And I love that scene where we get to see the pilots hopping into their TIE fighters. I just love these little bits of scenery in which we get to see the imps hopping into their ships and warming them up, and they're kind of battening down their hatches and starting the systems up and things like that. Kind of something I'd always imagined as a kid, as to what in the world would that have looked like. And of course now we get to see it. Of course, I think we saw Zeb and Ezra doing this in Star Wars Rebels, but pretty cool to see TIE pilots in their TIEs. And they do eventually launch from the airbase, and of course we get that really cool gunfight. And I would imagine some Star Wars fans probably not happy with the minuscule amount of action we got, but maybe we'll get more later on. I liked it. It felt like a pretty interesting payoff with all the building tension throughout the episode. And of course, we see poor Teruman and Gorn. They go down pretty quickly. And that's kind of disappointing. I was hoping they'd stick around, but they're gone. And, oh, yeah, like before that, though, we see poor Commandant Behaz, and right when the soldiers get there, before the big gunfight starts, he's already been sweating, and I think he's kind of had enough. And rather than go out like the rough and tough commandant, I think his last word is something like, and he just kind of keels over. I guess his heart gave out or something. So yeah, we're probably not going to see him again. So rather than saying, "For the Empire," he dies by going, so yeah, poor guy. Guess he's a one and done character. But yeah, pretty cool gunfight. Then we get to see the freighter taking off, and the TIE fighters are pursuing them. And poor Nemec, he gets crushed in between like these big massive loads of credits that they stole. And I mean, just when I thought they'd made it out of there safe, of course, they left poor Cinta behind, and she's got to fend for herself. Nemec, yeah, his back is undoubtedly broken. His ribs are crushed. They got to give him a med spike. And even in the midst of all the pain that he's been in, he does manage to help them evade the TIEs. Pretty cool effect there, seeing the TIE windshields cracking from all the debris. And of course, they pop like TIE fighters usually pop. I mean, it doesn't take much to destroy TIEs, but yeah, they're kind of out of the fight before they can really do significant damage there. So really cool, minuscule chase scene with the TIEs and the freighter there. And yeah, they can't save Nemec. He dies on the table once they make it to what's his name, Quad Paw. I guess that's what they're calling him right now. I thought of that one Legends character from the Crystal Star. He's also a four-armed doctor from Monto Kodru, I think. I'm not sure. Is it Kojuji or something like that? That's his species. He's probably not that, but yeah, I thought of that doctor from the Legends novel, The Crystal Star, during the medical procedure when the descriptive audio track mentioned that he had forearms. So like, oh yeah, he reminds me of that guy from Legends. And in the meantime, just when you think everything exciting has happened, Skeen, who I liked up to this point, he shows his true colors, and he's like, yeah, how many credits do you think is in that ship? We got 80 million there. Why don't you and I split the winnings? And, you give me 40 million. That'll cause me to forget all about you. And you can go your separate way. Yeah. By the way, I never had a brother. And I was like, oh my God, man. That's honestly something I didn't see coming. I guess I kind of made a pun there. But yeah, I was thinking he was pretty much a straight arrow guy. And he's just I guess kind of a skeevy Skeen here. And Andor is not happy with this. I'm thinking, well, is Cassian going to shoot this guy too? And, Skeen is trying to woo him over to his way of thinking, and all of a sudden Andor just pops him and Skeen's dead. And I'm like, oh, okay, Cassian, what is this? 2 now for you that you've murdered in cold blood? Well, I mean, he probably would have killed Cassian at some point anyway. And Val, of course, she's not happy with this at all. And Andor decides that he's done. I think he probably had considered joining their cause, but after seeing Skeen do this, I think he's, it takes a lot for him to even think about trusting somebody. And he's like, no, I don't want any more of this. If this guy is not trustworthy, I got to look out for me. He gives her that Sky Kyber back, and he just kind of goes along his merry way. And at the end of the episode, I did like seeing Luthen, and once he finds out that the attack was successful, he just goes back into that back room of his, and he actually lets himself have a relieved laugh and a big old sigh of relief before we fade to black. And even though this episode was extremely dark, I think it is worth it because now everyone knows, hey, this rebel threat's kind of serious. And I like how we get to see Dedra, and we get to see the Imperials at the very end of the episode. And Partagaz, he's like, yeah, you guys, you got to stay here. Tell your families you're not going to be home tonight. We have to come up with a retaliation plan or something to that extent. So yeah, they're going to be making them pay. Mon Mothma had this really interesting bill that she wanted to pass, and of course everyone walked out of the Senate. So, and it's about the Gorman people again. So I guess we'll be seeing that Gorman massacre at some point, because we heard about them. What is this, like the second or third episode in a row? No, well, probably not in a row. I don't know if we heard about them in the first episode. I don't know, but yeah. Just a little bit of Mon Mothma. As for what I'm looking forward to in the next arc, I honestly have no idea where they're going. I want to see more of the Empire doing Empire stuff. I doubt that Commandant Behaz is still around. I think with that final, he's gone. So it was a really great death. I don't want to call it a death rattle. It was more like a Resident Evil zombie moan there, but pretty cool guy. I hope to see more of Cyril in the next several episodes. Maybe more of Dedra maneuvering her way up the Imperial ladder. Who knows what's going to happen there. Looking forward to the next 3-episode arc. I love this last episode. I think we got some really cool action scenes. And I loved all that tension as it built up to that gunfight there. So yeah, till next time, guys, may the Force be with you. And have a great day.